Welcome to Search for Signs. My name is Gary Willing. If this information interests you, please press the like and subscribe button and press the bell for notifications. Well, how y'all doing today? It is November the 17th, 2020, and I hope you're having a great day wherever you happen to be. If this is your first time ever listening to Search for Signs, I do want to thank you and welcome you to our channel. We have over 300 videos where we talk about Maitreya and the Masters of Wisdom. Of course, through the process of inquiry, question, and answers, we find out a little bit more and in greater depth about who and what Maitreya is, who and what a master is, but more importantly, his priorities and what they mean for you. Now, of course, we all have our own religious backgrounds that we hold so dear, and there's nothing wrong with that. And in no way, shape, or form am I trying to get you to change your spiritual or religious beliefs while we're talking about this. The most important thing that you can take from these videos is the priorities of Maitreya for humanity, okay? And it can be translated into any religious beliefs, really, if you think about it. So Maitreya's biggest priority for humanity at this moment in time is that humanity must create true and lasting peace. Our very survival depends upon it. So, of course, if you're like most people, all you have to do is look outside your window of your house, go to work, deal with your coworkers, watch TV, go to the store, and of course you're going to say there's no possible way that we can ever create peace on this planet. And if we did, it would be so far into the future that it really shouldn't concern any one of us because it's never going to happen, right? I mean, that's pretty much, the view of most people when it comes to can we create peace or not. Now, Maitreya is going to tell us that our very survival depends upon it. The way he puts it, and he puts it so simply, without sharing there could be no justice, without justice there could be no peace, and without peace there could be no future for humanity. So, very simple. And if that's all you take from these videos, that is hands down the most important thing that you can actually take from it. So, now, if you have heard these videos before, or maybe if this is your first time hearing it, and you have a question about what we talk about here on this channel, or even simply a comment that might add to the discussion, I do recommend posting your question as a comment, and then I will do my best to answer it in the next video, and then we can all have a greater, hopefully, every one of us will have a slightly better understanding of the nature and the truth of this information. So. And I always want to thank those who have taken the time to ask questions. All right, now let's get on into the question portion of this video. All right, so the first questions, there's actually two of them, come from Flip and Photos. Gotta love that name. It says, had a dream, ... Daniel the prophet in the Bible is Maitreya. Thoughts, ? And then the next one, had another thought, ... If Jesus / Krishna / Buddha, Maitreya, were to return, where would he go? The city of sin? ? So, well, Flipping Photos, you sure swang for the fences on that one. Anyway, now the first question, actually, I can kind of deal with I can kind of answer the first question you had is Daniel the prophet in the Bible Maitreya? Is he Maitreya? Now, my thoughts on that are this. No, they're two different individuals. Daniel is now a master, of course, but Daniel, of course, lived, just a few thousand years ago. Maitreya was the first of our humanity on this planet to become a master, and it was eons and eons and eons ago, probably millions of years ago that he did this. Now, he is truly the Son of Man because every aspect of human endeavor he has personally experienced. So the good, the bad, and the ugly, anything you can think of, he has felt, participated in, suffered from, however you want to look at it, but yet conquered it truly and became a master and was the first one to do it. Now, he did it so quickly because he never wasted a lifetime. So through the course of his incarnational experiences, at each incarnational turn, he progressed just ever so slightly, and that's how he was able to advance so quickly. All of us, without exception, have with the exception of Maitreya, pretty much wasted a lifetime or many lifetimes at some point. So, and of course, that's why we're still where we're at. Now, Maitreya is the guarantee, and the masters will say that they're the guarantee that we will eventually conquer all the human frailties that they had to conquer to become a master. So now, the one incarnational incarnation of Maitreya that I believe it's him is Enoch, who is another Old Testament figure. So Enoch was a previous incarnation of Maitreya, if I'm not mistaken. The problem is I don't remember where I read that. So if I read it incorrectly or remembered it incorrectly, I do apologize. But hopefully that helps. Now, the other thing too is, this is what I was going to say. In the Bible, Jesus said, "I am the Alpha and the Omega." Well, of course, religious fundamentalists from all denominations think that and believe that statement is Jesus confirming or announcing to the world, however you want to look at it, that he is the Almighty God, right? Alpha and Omega, beginning and the last, first and last, right? Beginning and end. Well, Maitreya actually said that through Jesus, but he wasn't saying it with the intention of announcing that he's saying he's the Almighty God. What he was saying was he was the first to achieve and become a master in this humanity. And then he's been a master working with humanity ever since. Now he's the world teacher. He was a world teacher for the last 2,000 years, and for the next age of Aquarius, about 2,000, 2,500 years or whatever it is, he will be the world teacher for this age, and then he'll go off to higher work. Humanity will go on in a much more efficient way. We will become, more and more of us will become perfected masters and so forth, and then take the higher initiations even above being a master. And when the plan of humanity on this earth is about to be finalized and finished, and all of us have taken pretty much all the highest of initiations that you could possibly take in this solar system, Maitreya is going to come back and be the last of humanity to take that high initiation. So that's why he said he was the first and the last. So Daniel is just one of our humanity who's gone ahead of us and become a master himself. So hopefully that helps. All right. Now, it kind of goes along the lines of the next question. You keep calling Maitreya the Christ, but then say he doesn't like to be called the Christ. So why? And I can really see where you're coming from with this. I know the response that somebody said, I must have missed that a bit. When did he call Maitreya the Christ? Actually, I say he's the Christ all the time, actually. So I can see where he's coming from. Now, and I can also see why you replied that way. But the one thing about when I refer to Maitreya as the Christ, I'm coming from the esoteric perspective of who and what the Christ is. Okay, so and let me explain that and go into greater depth about that, and then explain why Maitreya does not like to be called the Christ. Okay, so the esoteric view of who and what a Christ is a master who has taken a specific path to become a Christ, and therefore be able to embody the love nature of God at a cellular level, really. And so it's so unbelievably rare for a master to choose this path that, and even at our planet being at the level that it's at, it's nearly unheard of to have a being that evolved come out of that evolution and through the course of eons and eons and eons become so highly sensitive to the spiritual nature of the love nature of God that he actually can embody the love nature of God. That it's, I don't know if there's not another planet in our solar system at least that has had that had that happen. We have actually had two. Maitreya is actually not the first Christ on this planet to have come from our own evolution. The first one was actually the Buddha. The Buddha worked through the Prince Gautama in the exact same way that Maitreya worked through the then disciple Jesus. The Buddha embodies the wisdom aspect of God, which is one half of the love nature of God, and then the other half is the love nature of God, and that's what Maitreya actually embodies. Will they be the last of humanity to become a Christ on this planet? I don't know. I don't know what the destiny of this planet is, but they're two for now, and we're doubly blessed to have them. So that's when I refer to him as the Christ. That's who I'm speaking about, because he does embody the Christ principle, where most of these masters these other masters just manifest the love nature of God moment to moment. So we manifest the love nature of God, but very, very sporadically, if at all. And then through the course of our incarnational experiences, eventually we will become a master and master what it means to be divine, really is what it amounts to. They manifest the love nature of God moment to moment without exception. The Buddha and Maitreya have taken it a step further and literally embody that quality of God, the love nature of God. Now, the reason why Maitreya doesn't like to be referred to, doesn't like to be called the Christ, just as he doesn't like to be called the Imamati per se, is because he sees it creating confusion in the minds of people. So he knows the truth of who he is, that he embodies the love nature of God. He also knows the truth that he's the Son of Man. But he would prefer to be referred to as the teacher, because he says that's truer to the mark. So when people in the future know who he is, because he's declared himself before the world on the day of declaration, he's probably not, more than likely not going to say, I am the Christ, I'm the Mahdi. He's going to say, those are names that people look to me as, or that's what the world is expecting me to come back as, or the Christians are expecting me to come back as the Christ, or the Muslims are awaiting me as the Imam Mahdi, or something like that. But he's not going to say that he is that, because he's beyond that already. It's kind of like with you with your name, right? So let's say your name is Joe, right? Or Joseph. Is that really who you are? Or was that just a name that your parents gave you? I'm known by three different names, right? I know some people that I tick off from in my life that have called me some nasty names. Does that really mean that's who I am? I'm known as Gary at work, and when I was in school, I was known as Gary, and most people call me Gary. People on this channel call me Gary, but half my family on my dad's side call me Jake. But it doesn't mean I'm a different person. It just means that's what they call me. It's the same thing with Maitreya, right? So those are just names that we call them. But he would say, and he has said this before, if I'm the Messiah for the Jews, what about the Imam Mahdi for the Muslims? Who do they have? Because he made that promise to the whole world to come back and teach us and show us the way, not just to the Christians or just to the Muslims. See, that's the secular divisive viewpoint of the religious faithful, that they have the truth and everybody else does not. There's no truth to that. The teacher made the promise to return to the entire world, not just to one particular religious sect. So that's why he doesn't prefer to be called that. He would rather be called the teacher. So just like they used to call Jesus Rabbi, right, which means teacher in Hebrew, right? Well, in the future, people will say, teacher, ask me this. So he'll probably, if you call him that, if you see him out in public, or giving a talk somewhere and you want to ask him a question, rather than saying, Maitreya, I have a question, say, teacher, ask me, I have a question about this, and see how he responds to that. So he might have been going, you heard Benjamin Creme say that, or something like. I'm not Benjamin Creme, but you know what I'm saying. Benjamin Creme was the one that said that he doesn't prefer to be called the Christ or the Imam Mahdi. So I'll give credit where credit is due. All right, so the next two comments come from a gentleman named Paul B. Now, Paul, the first comment that you gave is quite lengthy, and I tried to read through it to try to make something out of it the way we could discuss it. So I don't know if you were really putting it in there just for me to read or for everybody else to read, or you wanted me to discuss it. So if there was anything in this that you wanted me to really discuss, maybe you could refine it a little bit for me or something like that, and I could talk about it. If not, if it was just to kind of talk about what you were talking about earlier, that's fine too, I understand. There is no connection. The only connection that Maitreya has to Hitler is Maitreya is the son of man and Hitler is a member of humanity. In terms of any kind of alignment of ideology or belief, there is none. Hitler was obsessed by two of the masters of involution, or the masters of darkness, or the masters of evil, really. And according to the master Joao Kuhl, according to Benjamin Creme's master, the karmic burden of what Hitler did in Germany during World War II, the majority of that karma and cause and effect rests on the doorstep of those two masters, not even on Hitler. Hitler's problem, and what the karma that he has to work out, is that he actually allowed himself to be used in that way. But the genocide and the war and the destruction, that all sits on the masters of involution. That's their responsibility that they have to contend with. And now, Hitler was a very advanced disciple. He had taken 2 of the 5 great expansions of consciousness to become a master, or what the masters refer to as initiations. He was on the same level as Martin Luther King or Gandhi or Einstein. So he was a very, very advanced. He wasn't just ordinary member of humanity, average humanity, to be able to pull off what he did. But they obsessed him. The master, and it's in the exact same way as the masters overshadow a disciple, like Maitreya overshadowed Jesus, or the Buddha overshadowed the Prince Gautama, or even Jesus overshadowed Muhammad later on after he had become a master. But the masters don't infringe upon the disciples' free will. The forces of involution actually, and the masters of evil, they actually will obsess their disciples. So Hitler's entire personality was obsessed by, they were at separate times, but by 2 different members of the forces of involution, those masters. So, but anyway, I guess that's kind of what you're talking about. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Now, in terms of the next question that you had, Peter, I asked if Maitreya could change things about a person through miracles, such as making an autistic person not autistic before, but my question was deleted. I assumed it triggered YouTube's algorithm. I don't understand why that's going on, because nobody else has been saying that their comments have been deleted, so I don't know. Anyway, can Maitreya cure people of autism or turn a 70 IQ person into somebody who has a 130 IQ? Have you ever heard the saying, Paul, you can't fix stupid? I've actually asked Maitreya to give me a full head of hair. No, he can't do that either, I guess, because I'm still bald as the day I was born. So actually, I think I had more hair when I was born than I do now. Now, the intellect of a person, what we would consider their IQ to be, for instance, right? That really has to do with the brain activity and the quality of the physical body of the person per se. Now, the soul, which is really the person, doesn't really describe the quality of the soul. So for instance, if somebody was their IQ was, let's say, 70 and not near genius at 132, right, or somewhere in, even just average humanity of 100, right, which is, I think, the average IQ of people, right? That's pretty much 100% function of the brain. And then, but the soul, which is within the person, which resides within the person, which is really who the person is, right? But we just don't realize it yet. That's the true creative genius, the loving, joyful person in incarnation, right? It could be very latent, it could be very dim, but that light is within the hearts of every single one of us. So Maitreya's, through the course of his energy and his love and his teachings, especially if somebody starts to apply his teachings, will find that divinity within him or herself start to manifest, which would bring about a genius in some level, maybe make them more creative, more loving, those kind of things. So that could change that way, but in terms of, and then maybe they would become a little smarter, I guess, I don't know. It help their intuition, right? Because we're intuitive beings, really. But in terms of them actually being able to heal somebody, and all of a sudden they went from being a special needs person, let's say, or to being a super genius, I don't know if I've ever heard of a case of where they've done that, but you'll have to ask Maitreya, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of an interesting question. And then in terms of autism, the thing about autism, is it a disease? Is it not? Is it some people can function in society and still have autism. Other people it's so severe they can't really connect with any outside person. It just depends, I guess, really. Now, the other thing too about the IQ, it would somebody's IQ be a 70 because they had some kind of head trauma or brain tumor or something like that? Well, then maybe the masters could heal them that way. Now, I did want to read this in terms of health and healing, okay? Now, it's important to keep in mind that the cause and the cure of a disease depends on the point of evolution of the person. So the higher evolved a person, they still can have disease, just like Helena Blavatsky suffered terrible illnesses through the course of her life, but she pushed through it to get the work out there that, and the knowledge and the truth of these masters. She's devoted her whole life to it, where the illnesses that she had would have probably stopped or severely restricted an average person. But the cause and the cure of her disease are two totally different things than just an average member of humanity. So if a master were to cure somebody like Helena Blavatsky of the disease that she had, there would have to be a different approach than it would be for an average person. But this is kind of a universal statement about health and disease coming from Benjamin Creme's master, which might be able to help you. And in the future, of course, health and healing will be very much so a part of the hierarchy of masters' approach to humanity, healing the body of the person, healing the body politic, healing the body economic, healing the body, of humanity as a whole and so forth. I mean, even just creating peace in the world and ending hunger will alleviate so much disease, because we will start to relate to each other as souls better than we are today. So, and this kind of explains what I'm talking about. It says, the first step in the eradication of any disease must be an understanding of its cause. Hitherto, the cause of most disease has eluded man's search. So ignorant has he been of the nature of his constitution and the laws under which he functions. From now on, as man proceeds along a more correct course and grasps the necessity of right relationship, this will begin to be remedied. Disease is ultimately the result of wrong relationship to our higher self, the soul, to our brothers and sisters throughout the world, and to the whole of which we are a part. By the misuse of soul energy, we set in motion the causation. By wrong relationship to our fellows, we bring about disequilibrium and disharmony and illnesses of all kinds. Through our sense of separation, we cut ourselves off from the healing potencies which everywhere surround us. So that is, from the point of view of the masters, the cause and cure for a disease. It has to do with right human relationships is what really keeps somebody disease-free, and what creates the disease is wrong human relationships. So when half the world is living under, poverty level, right? A large segment of society is literally starving to death. That's causing disease not only amongst the people itself, right, but amongst the people in the developed world, because they're not relating to their fellow brothers and sisters correctly. If you're a person who is kind of in it to win it for themselves and isn't worried about manifesting their own soul and in some form of service, well, that's going to eventually lead to disease of all kinds, because you're not relating to your soul the right way. That's what he's talking about. And then, of course, the way that we're damaging our environment and not truly having the correct relationship with our environment as a whole creates diseases amongst people. So I don't know if that answers your question, Paul, but that's the best I can do given the nature of the question, because you asked some very questions that were almost above my pay grade. So anyway, but hopefully that helps. But yeah, anyway, thanks again for everybody who's asked questions this go around. Like I said, I tried my best to answer it. And I look forward to more questions and more comments in the future. And we can go on from there and answer those as well. So you take care. Have a great day. Remember to take action and help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos.